Hello everybody. In this video we're going to get to know a new data set. This data set is a fairly simple 3 attributes data set that is going to be helping us understand how we could be using bar charts in a way that's going to help us create stories around a decision-making environment that the data set has been collected from. So it's intentional that this data set is fairly simple, but it has a very unique characteristics about it that we are going to try to tease out through bar charts and create that story so we can see that specificity about the decision-making environment that's going to be helping us in the decision making as we can create that story using the bar chart. So let's get to it. So the dataset's name is Whickham, the Whickham dataset. As we import our modules that we're going to be using, and we read the Whickham dataset, the CSV file, using the pandas module, pdread.csv, read_csv. As I said, the dataset has only 3 columns. It has outcome, smoker, age. Outcome is a binary attribute basically saying if this patient or if this person dead or alive. And the smoker is another binary attribute saying if this person has been a smoker or not, and the age of this person. So these 3 attributes are about each individual in this dataset. So let's get to know this dataset through a couple of data manipulations, also simple summarization techniques. So one of the things that you could be doing with pandas data frame is saying shapes. Shape basically gives you sort of like a shape of your data. It tells you how many rows you have. So here you have 1,314 rows, and it also tells you how many columns you have. As we can see, the number of columns are 3, but it helps us to sort of like get understanding of how big this data set is. And then we could be using the function describe as we have seen before. It's going to give us the summarizing statistics about the numerical attributes in the data. And the only numerical attribute we have is age. So now we can see the minimum of the age is 18, the maximum is 84, the mean is 47, around 47, and all of those, summarizing statistics that could be beneficial in when we're looking at the data. And then we could also be, as we saw in the previous module, we could also be plotting the histogram of the age. Instead of just looking at these statistics, we could be plotting the histogram of the age, and now we have a much better understanding of what the data looks like. It's visual, we can like relate to it quicker than we could through the numbers. And this is how the distribution of age we have. Most of the people are in their 30s, and then there is a decline towards 50 and 60 age in the data set. We could also be looking at different, we could also be looking at the categorical attributes. So like sort of like get an idea of what's going on there. So one of the things we could be doing is to do the value counts and sort of calculate the number of alive and dead. So we can see most people in this data set are alive and over dead. And we could, instead of like having these numbers, we could sort of like divide everything by the total numbers and get a ratio that sort of like gives us a percentage. So we know that 70%, 72% of the data is alive, and 28% of the data, the individual in this data set is dead. So we did this. We could have also done this by passing normalize equal true to the same function value counts. It could have made things a little bit easier. So that's basically the same thing, but you could just like pass normalized true. It sort of automatically does that for you. And we could make it a little bit more presentable. It's like alive, dead, just like some numbers. If you pass whatever you get from this function into a data frame, it makes it a little bit more presentable. So like you have live, dead, and outcome. It's using a data frame to like just make it a little bit more presentable. So the challenge here I have, as far as getting to know this data set for you, is to try to produce a presentable table that outlines the ratio of data objects based on the value of the column smoker. So do the basically the same thing we did for outcome, but this time do it for the other column, which was smoker, and sort of figure out the percentage of people or the data rows or the data objects in this data set about who are yes to the smoker and how many the percentages that there are no to the smoker. Give this a try and continue watching. So basically all you need to change here, instead of outcome, you need to put smoker. And that's all there is to it. So once you do this, now you will see that most of the data rows are no. And, the rest of them are yes. Pay attention that even though the most of them are no, but then still the number of people who are alive was 72%, but the number of people who are not smoker is 56%. So there is still more like sort of lopsidedness on the outcome over the whether someone is smoking or not. So it's the second challenge I have here is we want to create a presentable table that sort of like separate the data, not just by the smoker or the outcome, but both of them, to sort of see how many data rows fall under each of those 4 possible combination categories. Give this a try and continue watching as I'm going to be showing how this is done. So basically, to do this, what you need to do is to do a group by. So as we remember, group by basically group the data objects by those columns. And since this has 2 states, and this also has 2 states, once you do the group by, it's going to create 4 different combinations. So it's going to be yes smoker alive, yes smoker dead, no smoker alive, no smoker dead. And basically I'm calculating the size of them, and once you run this, now you will have the count of no smoker alive, no smoker dead, no yes smoker alive, and no smoker dead. And you could have done the same thing by doing value counts. But when you do value counts, you basically group by with one of them, and then allow the value count to sort of do the group by, the second group by. It's going to result in this with the same outcome, but the way you do it is sort of like a little bit different. You do the group by both of them yourself, and then you say what is the size here. You do one of the group by, and then sort of do the second group by the value count. Sort of like the value count is a group by that's done by one column.